India's northern borders are some of the most formidable in the world. We're talking about a landscape of just rock, ice, and incredibly thin air. Defending these frontiers has led to some of the most challenging and iconic military campaigns in modern history. So let's get into it and explore three of them. It's a question that really forces you to rethink everything you know about warfare. Up there, the enemy isn't just another army, it's the mountain itself. You've got the altitude, the brutal weather, the sheer vertical climbs. So how has India tackled this unbelievable challenge over the decades? Okay, before we jump into the battles, let's get our bearings on this vast, unforgiving landscape. We're going to focus on three really critical areas in the high Himalayas. First, there's Aksai Chin, where a major conflict with China took place. Then, the Siachen Glacier, literally the world's highest battlefield. And finally, Kargil, the site of some of the most intense mountain combat you can imagine. Each of these spots tells a key part of this story. So, our story really kicks off in 1962. This was a conflict that turned into a harsh but, absolutely necessary lesson. It fundamentally reshaped India's entire approach to its own security. At the heart of the 1962 war was this place, the Aksai Chin Plateau. Now, tensions had been simmering over border disputes for a while, but they totally boiled over when India discovered that China had gone and built a strategic military road right through this contested territory. The fighting itself was short, but incredibly intense. After a period of rising friction, war finally broke out in 1962, and after some heavy fighting, the whole thing came to a sudden halt when China declared a unilateral ceasefire. But they kept control of Aksai Chin. And here's the crucial takeaway from this. The outcome of the war was a huge wake-up call. It revealed some serious gaps in India's defense readiness. This triggered a massive overhaul of its military policies, with a brand new focus on specialized, high-altitude training and getting the right kind of gear. Now let's jump forward a bit and see how things evolved. 2 decades later, those tough lessons from 1962 would lead to a very different kind of operation. This wasn't a reaction, it was a preemptive move in one of the most hostile environments on the entire planet. Just look at that number. -50 degrees Celsius. That is colder than most industrial freezers. And this isn't just a random detail, it's the defining reality of the Siachen Glacier, where the environment itself is a constant, relentless enemy. That phrase, the highest battlefield in the world, it isn't just for dramatic effect. It's a literal fact. Trying to operate at these altitudes puts an unimaginable strain on soldiers, on equipment, on everything. Just breathing is a monumental effort. So the situation was basically a race against time. Intelligence showed that Pakistan was planning to occupy the strategic heights of the Siachen Glacier. In response, India launched Operation Meghdoot, a swift, preemptive airlift of troops on April 13, 1984. That move was totally decisive. India secured the glacier and the critical Saltoro Ridge, gaining a huge strategic advantage. And this operation is just such a stark contrast to 1962, right? It wasn't about reacting to a crisis, it was about preventing one from ever happening. It's still seen as a textbook case of strategic foresight, and a real testament to the Indian military's growing expertise in high-altitude warfare. All right, on to our final campaign. In 1999, these mountains would once again become a battleground. This time, it would test India's resolve and its ability to pull off a really complex, multi-branch military response. The thing that kicked off this conflict was a breach of the line of control, or the LOC. Now, this isn't an internationally recognized border, it's more of a de facto line. Pakistani soldiers and militants infiltrated across it, and they seized strategic high ground positions on the Indian side, positions that overlooked a key national highway. India's response was this powerful two-pronged assault. On the ground, the army launched Operation Vijay, this methodical, painstaking mission to reclaim the mountain peaks one by one. And at the same time, the Air Force launched Operation Safed Sagra, providing absolutely crucial air support to the troops fighting below. This joint operation was the key to their success. The whole conflict unfolded over a super tense 2-month period. After the infiltration was spotted in early May, Indian forces launched their counteroffensive. And despite the absolutely brutal terrain and extreme conditions, by July 26th, they had successfully taken back the majority of the positions. And that date, July 26th, it holds a really special place in the national consciousness. It's celebrated every year as Kargil Vijay Divas, or Cargo Victory Day. to honor the soldiers who fought and won one of the toughest military campaigns imaginable. So, after all that, what do we take away from these three very different, but still connected episodes? Let's try and put it all together. Looking back, you can see this clear evolution. The 1962 war just hammered home the absolute need for preparedness. Then Operation Make Dude in '84 showed the incredible value of thinking ahead, of being proactive. And finally, the Kargil conflict in '99 really showcased the power of determined joint force operations. Each campaign taught a vital and very different lesson. When you take them all together, these three campaigns tell a powerful story of learning and adapting. It goes from the massive wake-up call of 1962 to the proactive strategy of 1984, and it all culminates in the resilient, coordinated victory of 1999. It's a pretty remarkable journey of military evolution, forged in the planet's highest frontiers. And all this leaves us with a final thought. These mountains are still a critical and incredibly challenging frontier. The lessons that were learned in blood and ice during these campaigns, they're not just history. They're the very foundation for confronting the complex strategic challenges of today. The question is, how will that legacy continue to evolve?